Welcome, Donna. I am so happy to have you here today from Scotland. We are here to share your story. And can you please take us back when you were first diagnosed with MS?
Yes, so I was 26. I just had my first child, so I had my wee boy. He was only a few months old when I woke up and I stepped out the bed and both my feet were completely numb and I had no idea why. At that time, I was working in neurological rehabilitation as an occupational therapist. And by the time I got to work that morning, the bilateral numbness or loss of sensation had kind of travelled up my legs, and my knees were giving way when I was in work that day. So I chatted to one of the physiotherapists that I work with, um, and I was kind of brushing it off, but she was like, "That's unusual. Keep an eye on that." And then I got on with my working day, busy with the baby. A couple of days later, the sensation was still the same, and I'd lost the sensation when I'd went to the toilet to wipe. I couldn't feel that. And then when I was putting like my bra on, I couldn't feel the strap at my back. So I could feel the loss of sensation was travelling up my body. Vanity kicked in and I panicked. What happens if it goes into my face? And that made me go to the doctor, which is awful. That's the reason why I thought, oh, maybe I should make an appointment. But I was working part-time. I just had this baby. I was busy. So I went to the doctor and I'd seen a young GP and she immediately referred me to the hospital. And I got sent to A&E and got had taken in straight away. And they checked my bloods and they had seen that I was really low in vitamin D, which probably isn't unusual in people in Scotland. But mine was unusually lower than the average low in Scotland. And they put me into a ward and I just wanted home to my baby. They wanted to do scans, they wanted to do tests, but I just wanted home. And they said to me, okay, you can come back as an outpatient. So that's kind of how that went. By the time my outpatient appointment came, my symptoms had resolved. So I, in my knowledge of neurological conditions, had already diagnosed myself and decided I had had a condition called Guillain-Barré syndrome. I don't know if you've heard of that. But what I did know is if you recover from Guillain-Barré, it's then gone. It's not something that necessarily would come back or you would live with. So when I went to the hospital for the results of my MRI, I went with my mum and my baby. And I said to my mum and my son, you stay outside with the baby, I'll go in myself, because I already know what they're going to tell me. I had it all sussed out. I'm going to go in, they're going to tell me it's resolved and I'm going to be fine. And then when I went in, the doctor had said there was demyelation of the myelin sheath. And I'm thinking, sounds a bit like MS. But he never actually said the word MS at that time. So I was like, all right, is that similar to multiple sclerosis? At which point he said, Donna, you do have multiple sclerosis. And then I don't really remember hearing much after that because I'm thinking, oh my God, my mum's outside. How am I going to tell her? What am I going to say? What's going to happen? I'm going to be in a wheelchair. How am I going to look after my son? Like everything was worst case scenario because bearing in mind, I was working with people with MS, and the only reason they were referred to my service is because it was progressive or they were in a relapse that had debilitated them and I was going out to rehabilitate them. So I only had experience of the bad side of MS, if you like, the difficult part of MS. So I remember going out and I genuinely don't remember anything else that he said after that. He was talking. He asked if there were any questions, and I just kept saying, "Oh, I need to go and get my mum." So when I left, I remember saying to my mum, "Don't freak out, don't panic," because I was so worried about her panicking that I still wasn't really taking in what had been said. And it wasn't until we got back to the car and I called my husband to say, I've had my results, and it wasn't until I said it out loud, I have MS, and then I broke down, do you know, and that was the kind of moment. I remember phoning up my colleagues that I was close to, and I think because we worked in that era, so when I phoned them to say I've got MS, they were crying too. So at this point, it was devastation. My life was over, you know. Everyone was crying, everyone was sad. Um, Everything in front of me was, you know, I was only 26. I'd just get married at 24. I'd just had my first baby. I wanted to have another baby, you know, and I thought all of that was, there was no chance of that. That was it. And then I decided, okay, you're going to, sometimes knowledge is a curse, but it can also be helpful. And I thought, right, I'm really going to go and learn what this is and learn if I can live with this, because I knew I had to for my boy. I had to learn to live with it. And I thought, I'm not quite ready to give up. Let's see if there's something I can do. And the other part of me was thinking about, I still wanted to have another baby. I still wanted to complete my family. So when I went to the doctor to talk about my options, it was, I knew they'd just moved away from the interferon injections at that time, and a new super pill was coming out, Tecfidera dimethyl fumarate. And it was just a pill that I would have to take every day, and that would be it. And that would half my relapses and reduce the number of lesions I was developing. So that's kind of where I was at. But the option was, if I went on this, then that was me. I would have to go on contraceptive pill and not have any more children.
Did you start
So,
medication right away?
so that was what the recommendation was. I hung off a bit, and I looked into, could I manage this more holistically? My mum, very, you know, you need to do what the doctor says, you need to take the medicine. You know, there's no other way to manage this. Begged me to take the medicine because she was worried about me. And, you know, it was kind of like I'd put myself through university, I had my degree, I had my career, I just get married, just the baby. My mum's like, if you go in the medicine, you'll keep all of that. If you don't, then you won't, you know. And I suppose that's kind of what the belief was. But there was obviously something that meant that wasn't meant to happen, because the day that I was supposed to start the contraceptive pill so that I could start my MS medication, because I couldn't start it until I was on that, my period never came. So I was pregnant again. So baby number two, I was relieved, because what that gave me was time to
Yeah.
actually absorb that I did have multiple sclerosis and what was I going to do. And I stayed really well during my pregnancy. I had a really difficult birth, not related to multiple sclerosis, but I did have a difficult birth. So it did wipe me out. And after I had Quinn.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I keep thinking that I don't know which one is better, to have children for your diagnosis or after. Because my diagnosis was before I started a family, and I think I would be more devastated having a few months old baby and dealing with this disease, this diagnosis, this news.
Yeah, because there was no time to plan. I think if I had known prior, I could say, right, these are the risks. And if this happens, this is going to, because I'm an occupational therapist, I'm all about risk management. How do we manage risk? How do we control it? So that's what I would have been thinking. But you're right. I had this baby and I had to get on, and I didn't want anyone else to care for him. I wanted to do that. And then when baby number two came, I then had a brand new two. He just turned two and baby was newborn. And that's when I had another significant relapse around, I took really, really severe vertigo, and I couldn't get out of bed. If I get out of bed, it was as if the room was moving with me. So I'd totally lost my balance. I had blurred vision. And I was really unwell, and then I panicked. I did panic then because I thought, oh, I've got two babies because they were both still babies, and here this has come back because I've been so well over my pregnancy. You almost get that chance to forget about it a wee bit.
So you
And
felt great during both pregnancies?
I was well in my pregnancies. Physically, no. My first baby was 10 pounds 3. It was tiny. I was like this wee small frame and this giant baby, and that caused a lot of complications around my pelvis. My pelvis had split, it rotated, so I was in a lot of pain. That made the birth difficult. I did deliver him naturally because they insisted that I did. And it was the same with my second baby. They insisted I delivered her naturally because at that point they knew I had MS and felt that would be a safer option for me. But it absolutely wiped me out. I mean, it did. But I got the two of them here. They were both healthy and happy. And I was getting there. And then when I had that other significant relapse, when I recovered from it, I went back to talk about the medication again because I was frightened, if that's the truth. In between this, I had visited the GP because I was having gut issues, and I'd had gut issues probably from about age 15. But I was really, really struggling. I was taking Buscopan for bowel spasms and really, really struggling with my gut. And at that time, it was a young GP, and she had suggested that I be tested for celiac. And through that test, that came back positive. So what I would say is, at the exact same time I started the medication, I also went gluten-free. When I went gluten-free, I thought, I am belts and bracing this. I am going to go on meds, but I'm also going to make all these lifestyle changes to see, because I wasn't taking any chances. I just thought I need to give this everything because of these babies. I need to give this everything. So I went gluten-free. I initially started with the swank diet, and I tried all the different MS diets. But what I found is when I restricted myself fully of anything other than gluten, there was something else, So I then had issues with my tummy, or I had issues. So I now follow a very, very well balanced diet. It's probably more kind of lean proteins, fruit and vegetables, water. But I thought I'll get on a healthier diet. I'll learn more about the kind of foods, what anti-inflammatory foods can I have. I started looking at supplements and thinking, what else can I take? Obviously, by that point, I was on a 5,000 IU of vitamin D3, and I still am because my vitamin D was so low. But I started looking at things like that. So that's when I made massive lifestyle changes at the same time as going on the medication. So I was having 2 to 3 relapses a year, and I was developing minimum of 1 lesion a year.
Mm-hmm.
Then when I started the medication and the lifestyle changes collaboratively, I went 3 years with no relapse, no new lesions. So when you're 3 years in and that's working, that is what I've continued with.
Yeah.
I always toy with myself around the medication because it's such a new pill that I'll never know the long-term effect.
Yeah.
When I take it in the morning, I flush and I think, my God, is this burning me from the inside out? Because I just go bright red. Unless I have it with a lot of water and a bit of protein, it does flush me. And I have spoken with, the care team, the healthcare team, to say, should I come off it? And they're kind of like, if it's not broken, why are we trying to fix it if it's working? There then came a big thing came out around Tech Federa about people developing PML. But it was only if you were a JC virus carrier. So I asked to be tested. And of course, I'm a JC virus carrier because I've got everything. Why not? So what the agreement is, I get my bloods checked every 3 months. As long as my lymphocytes remain above 1, then I'm low, practically no risk of contracting PML. Initially, when I started the medication, my lymphocytes dropped to 0.5. However, they kind of sit now between 1.5 and 1.8. And that is definitely due to lifestyle change. That's what's increased that. That is to do with the supplements, exercise. When I initially started, I joined a kickboxing gym and I was doing Pilates. As a neuro rehab practitioner, I knew that flexibility, muscle strength, tone, anything to improve strength and balance, coordination. So that's why I went with kickboxing at the time. I now go to a all ladies gym because I turned 40 last year, so I'm now 41. But I turned 40 last year and I thought, right, fit for 40. Donna, we're going to do this. You're not just going to be well, you're not just going to be getting there, you're going to be fit.
That
And
was
that's
my goal, actually. We have so many things in common. Two children turning 40, diagnosed. Yeah, it's
yeah,
good for you. That's
but
amazing.
it's one of those things, in it. I thought I could do it really well, or I could absolutely smash it. And I decided I was just actually, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to really go for it. So, I mean, I'm back working full time because the kids are older. So I work a full time job. I do work out 4 or 5 times a week. I eat well. I live well. I try and manage stresses in my life. I try mindfulness, yoga, Pilates, as well as strength conditioning, lifting. I've got a personal trainer that I see once a week, and she's fantastic. And she keeps me right. And it's just, in all honesty, when I got MS, after I got past the denial, and then I got angry, and I thought, why me? Why me? Sometimes, and people think this is bizarre, and I don't know if you've ever thought of this, but sometimes I think I've been given a gift because I have insight. I love life more than I've ever loved life. And
Heard that all the time.
I'm just so much more mindful. I go, if when we're on holiday and we're in the pool and I feel the water in my legs and I feel the kids and I take it all in, because I just think I'm so grateful that I'm there and I'm out in the water swimming with them, or I'm, climbing hills with them, or we are doing stuff together, we're having fun. We went to Florida, what was that, maybe 7 years after I was diagnosed. So you can imagine it was like 100-degree heat because I was not expecting that. We were doing 50,000 steps a day, I think, when we were trading all over Walt Disney. But every second of it, I just feel like I absolutely appreciated. And I thought, I don't know if I would have appreciated this as much. I appreciate the people round about me. I appreciate my husband so much more because he's so patient, because the world see me and they see what's out here. They see Donna goes to the gym 5 times a week. She's really fit. She's really healthy. You'll get this all the time. You don't look like you have MS. Oh my God, you would never know. And I go, well, thank you, because that's what I try and do. But I still feel like it doesn't change the fact I'm not completely symptom free. There is additional challenges that go with it. But I guess what I've decided to do is rise to the challenge and I take it on. And rather than be bitter that I have to get up and fight an extra fight every day, I try and flip it on its head and be grateful, because I know that I've got to achieve something every day, and I pat myself in the back. Most days, we're not always kind to ourselves, but most days I pat myself in the back and say, do you know what? You done that. And you can be proud of it. And I guess that's kind of where I'm at and what I try and do. And I try and have the kids live their lives like that as well, you know, appreciating each day and be grateful for what we have. And you know, I'll often say to them, tell me 3 things that were amazing about today. What did you love about today? So even if they've had a bad day, we always try and say, right, but what's great? And my first one's always, we've got our health. Because yes, I've got MS, but I'm healthy. I'm living with MS. And I do feel I'm stronger than I ever was. And I sometimes wonder if I didn't have a multiple sclerosis diagnosis, I don't know if I would be as fit and healthy as I am today, and that's bizarre to say.
Yes,
But
I was about to ask, would you make all these lifestyle changes and would you focus on exercise if you wouldn't have these diagnoses? Probably no, right?
I wasn't into exercise before MS, so probably not. No, I think it would be, you know, no. I was never a lazy person. I've always kept fit to a certain degree, but I was never like committed to it. It was never, I need to do this. Whereas now it's just part of my life, you know, and if I don't make the gym or I don't get out a long walk and I've had a lazy day, you know, sometimes it's that's where I'm not good at going, that's okay. Donna, you're allowed to have a lazy day. I'm probably not as good at giving myself them as I am at pushing myself. Um, but that's something I've got to work on, and we always just need to work on ourselves. And I listen to my body. I do listen to my body, and if my body very much will tell me when I've had enough. You know, I've had moments where I'm like, I just can't feel my face, and I do get that numbness back, and I think, right, my body's talking to me, and it's telling me, you know, my receptors are going mad, and they're talking to me, and they're telling me it's time to slow down, and then, you know, I try and not push myself at that point where that's what I need to slow me down, but sometimes life gets busy, doesn't it? And I just think sometimes that can happen, but I always listen to my body because I'm always grateful for it. I'm always thankful for it and what it does for me every day, you know.
What
So
do you think when you feel symptoms? What do you think it's causing them?
when I, so things like if I overexert myself, particularly if I overheat, I definitely can get symptoms. I manage fatigue well, but again, I need to plan. I need to make sure that I'm actively fatigue managing my week, you know. And sometimes I can fill it up. So if I overexert myself or I overheat, and if I stress too much, so I try and not stress, because if I stress out, or my stress levels are increased, I can feel the inflammation in my body. There's certain foods as well. So if I had gluten, I mean, my joints and everything ache with that. I just can't have gluten at all. It's not just digestive, it causes inflammation in my whole body. Sugar, if I have too much sugar, again, it causes massive inflammation in my body, and I get really bad kind of peripheral neuropathy if I have. So there's certain foods that definitely trigger as well.
I wanted to ask you why do you want to share your story?
One thing is I want to inspire hope, because like I said, when I found out I had MS, it was hopeless because I only seen the worst side of it. I feel like I'm proof that you can live well with MS. But I've said this to you over email. I don't want people thinking that everybody can live well with MS if they do what I do. And if you're not doing that, you failed, because that's not the case. I do feel everyone's MS is different. We've all got a different vessel that is battling that, you know. My body's different from yours, and what the resources that we have will differ, you know. Because I know for me, have personal training and things, you know, that's having you need a resource for that. So I want to give people hope. I want to inspire hope. I want people to know that you can live well with MS, and to make the changes, even if they are little, you know, and pat yourself in the back and try and flip that why me to, well, why not me? This could be a gift, and make it a gift. Make it something that makes you seize every day and love every day, and love your body, not for failing you, because I feel my body's not failing me. I feel my body's it's fighting for me because it's keeping me going. And I just think if people change their mindset when they're living with MS, hopefully that could help, because you could get yourself in a dark place, and it's totally understandable. Nobody should feel bad about being there, but I just hope that sharing my story can maybe help somebody come out of that place and try and move forward with a wee bit of light in their life.
Yes, that's beautiful. Yes, I agree. Do you have any fear about the future?
I do. I mean, I feel grateful every day, but I do feel MS is like a ticking time bomb sometimes. You're kind of living with something that it it could change your life. So I do have that fear. I have the fear of not being able to work and provide for the kids. I have the fear of not being able to live the life that we've got planned. But you can't dwell on that, because anything could happen to any of us any day. And if I focus on the fact that I've got multiple sclerosis, I'll never live. The days that I'm well, I want to live well. And I just feel like initially I let the fear consume me, and now I just park the fear. And I'd be lying if I said it wasn't there. It absolutely is there. And there's sometimes, your breath, oh my goodness, that's me. That is me. I've got that. But then I'm like, I've got this, and I just have to know that I'm surrounded with love. I'm surrounded with good people who look after me, and I'm going to be okay. And you just have to believe that, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Is there anything else you would like to share?
I do try and just look at the positive side of it, and people that you're sharing the positive message, because we all know there's a negative side, and I don't need to know about it. I know it's there, but I don't need to dwell on that. I don't feel I need to put my focus on that. Instead, I'll take tips from things that I see other people doing, and they're doing well. I work in Macmillan Cancer Support now, so I'm a service manager there, and I manage those services. So I guess I'm in a world where people's lives really are devastated by cancer, and what I try and do through my job is help them live well with that. So I guess it's about taking that mindset and trying to help other people live well with their condition. Any condition, MS is one condition, but there's so many stuff out there. I guess it's about thinking, how can I live well with this? And I do that in my job with people with cancer. I used to work in the hospice, so there would be people who were dying, but I would help them live well until they died, and that's how I saw my role there as well. In my work, I see so many inspiring people, I guess is what I'm saying. So between the people I come across every day who are fighting a battle, probably a million times worse than mine, people like yourself who are out there and talking about it and raising the awareness. Because I think sometimes people are uncomfortable. If people hear I've got MS, I can see them be uncomfortable, and they don't know what to say. And then they say something stupid like, oh, you don't look like that. You don't look like you have MS. And you think, and I know they've just said it because they're uncomfortable.
Yeah,
I guess the more we talk about it, maybe people would be more comfortable
yeah,
in that as well, and more understanding, yeah, I'm doing well. Yeah, I'm trying, but sometimes it's a lot. Sometimes it's a lot as well. Every day is not easy breezy. Every day is not. There's hard days, there's tough days, and I do, as I say, yeah, I need to manage. I need to manage my time. I need to, and it's not that I don't want to spend all my time with everybody. I do, but I have to manage it, and I don't have a choice in that. That's the only way I can do it and do it well. Otherwise, I would burn out. And it would be useful for people to understand that. I think that you want to give everybody your all, but you just can't, especially when you're battling every day your own body.
What do you think if one thing you could do to stop all your symptoms, what would it be?
Be completely stress free, have zero stress, zero pressures. And I feel like my wee body would just float and be quite happy and not have any symptoms.
So you are almost certain that stress is what's the number one cause for your MS symptoms?
I think it's the cause of the flare-ups of symptoms, yeah. I think stress is number one. And then overexertion.
Do you have any advice for somebody newly diagnosed?
I would say don't think too far ahead. Take it a day at a time. Do your research. It's easy to get caught up in the medical side of it. I would say do your research and really think it through. I feel like I rushed, not rushed, but I feel like I too quickly went on to medication, and now I feel I'm in a situation where I worry about what the medication's doing to me, but I worry about what it'll do if I come off. So I'm constantly battling with that. I would say to people, take your time, take it a day at a time, research. I'm not saying ignore listen to the medical advice, but make sure that you're reaching out to community and understanding that all the options before you decide, and be at peace with the option you decide. Don't beat yourself up for it. Be at peace with the option you decide, but make sure that you're informed. I think being informed is so important, and then you make an informed decision that's best for you, and that's all right. And just don't give yourself a hard time. You're going to have bad days, and that's okay as well. It's the comeback. It's not the knockdown. That's the you should be worried about. So
Thank you. Thank you so much.